Alright, hello everybody, I'm Static Stardust, and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. So, it turns out I again missed a tiny detail that I didn't notice. Right there. What's this? It looks like a note of some sort. Look, something's written on it. 675-12-2. You're right, let's see. Oh, 6-7S-12-2. There's a name printed on the paper above it. Goodman. Maybe it fell out of his pocket when he was killed. Well, so, what does this mean, Mr. Wright? How am I supposed to know? Note to self, deductive reasoning, go to Edgeworth, not Wright. I'm sure Edgeworth wouldn't know what this means either. So, well, how are we doing, Mr. Wright? I guess we got some clues. We have an autopsy report, a note from the victim, and a cell phone. So, you think we'll be okay? Well, the only thing that's still bothering me is that Lana is confessing to the crime. She says she did it. No problem. I can guarantee that she's not a criminal. Oh, by the way, Emma? Yes? I know that song your phone was playing when it rings. What? It's the Steel Samurai theme song, isn't it? That popular TV show for kids? My weakness! The phone that rang earlier wasn't mine. It was yours. At 5:18, just after the murder took place, your sister called you, didn't she, Emma? I'm sorry. Can you tell me what you talked about? She hung up right away. I see. Alright, a detective is murdered and the suspect is the top prosecutor in the district. I've got a bad feeling about this. Like, maybe I still don't know everything that went on here. To be continued immediately afterwards, because I promised you guys a freaking court trial. Doo-doo-doo! Alright, so let's do with, here. Alright, so now immediately going to the court trial. Alright. Well, sorry. February 23rd, 9:34 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 2. How did the investigation go yesterday, Mr. Wright? Frankly, there are still a lot of gray areas. Or rather, the whole thing is one big gray area. Don't worry about me. What no matter what the outcome. I'm ready to accept my fate. I believe in you, sis. Mr. Wright, let me offer you a word of advice. Yes? A defense attorney should never believe their client. The defendant is called to trial because they were suspected of wrongdoing. Never forget that. Miss Sky, you remind me a lot of Mia. But there is one decisive difference between you and her. And that is, you're not a defense attorney. I believe it's almost time for the trial. Good luck, Mr. Wright. Sheesh, no wonder they freaking loved each other. My first trial without a Faye helping me. No one's going to bail me out this time. Oh hey boss. Did you miss your estranged lover in the courtroom? Why is my friggin' power strip so freaking close to my foot? I'll be alone in there. So I have to discover the truth all by myself. We're gonna die. Let's do it, Mr. Wright. I'll be with you the whole way. Not a Faye, but kinda close in looks, I guess. Alright, February 23rd, 10 o'clock a.m. District Court, courtroom number 9. Same old. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution has been ready for a while, Your Honor. Edgeworth. It's been 2 months, but I haven't been in a courtroom since his trial. I hope that personal feelings will not be part of the proceedings today, Mr. Wright. I will choose the path I think is right, regardless of what those around me might say. The judgment to be made here is in our hands, not those of anyone else. Very well, Mr. Edgeworth. Your opening statement, please. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye has committed an unpardonable crime. Not only this, but she was rash enough to commit it in the prosecutor's office lot. Wow. Yes, he's so much more forceful in person. I suddenly feel like confessing to everything. However, she will now pay for her rashness with her life. There will be a witness to her crime. A professional witness. Well then, call your first witness, Mr. Edgeworth. The prosecution calls its first witness Miss Angel Starr to the stand. The cough-up queen? Yep. Let me see if I can still do her voice. Haven't I seen you somewhere? Ooh! You ordered the caviar lunch, right? Oh, caviar! I've never eaten caviar before. The judge is really wolfing it down. And for you, I have a fiesta bowl. Ooh! Oh, thank you. Will the witness state her name and profession? Ah, and you, sir? Did you order the fingerprint lunchbox? What the? That's kind of ominous to give to the prosecutor. It's too early for lunch. Your name and profession, please. Well, Your Honor, how's it taste? So this is why everyone raves about caviar. It's so tasty, it hurts. I always thought caviar would taste like pickled tapioca. Yeah. What the heck does pickled tapioca taste like? Name, profession, now. Me? The name is Angel Starr. Don't go forgetting it. I find myself running Lunchland these days. Is that what you wanted me to say, Mr. Edgeworth? Very well, witness. Please describe the incident to us. The prosecution will wait. I'm not finished eating. Judge, come on. Hurry it up. Alright, very well, Mr. Edgeworth. As you know, we usually call on the police to provide a description of the crime. Your Honor, Mr. Edgeworth has said to the court, I am a professional. What exactly does that mean? Until 2 years ago, Miss Starr was a special investigator with the police. She was first-rate homicide detective. What? Miss Starr was a detective? Aha! I know who you are. A cough-up. Cough-up queen, Angel Starr, Your Honor. Long time no see. Wow. Very well. You may continue with your description, Miss Starr. Just who is this lady? If I might have the court's attention over here. The parking lot at the prosecutor's office is divided into 2 blocks. Block A for the prosecutor's office personnel. Block B for visitors and clients. A chain divider separates the 2 blocks. I suppose that's to keep visitors from taking up prosecutor spaces, yeah? The crime took place by a car in the back of Block A in the car's trunk. The killer stabbed the victim with his knife and went to drive the body out. Unfortunately for her, there was a witness and an arrest was made on the spot. And who's this valiant witness? Why, it was me, Your Honor. Alright, so we have the floor plans. Witness, did you see the very moment of the crime? Of course, Your Honor. Immediately after that, I approached the chief prosecutor, or apprehended the chief prosecutor. It seems rather cut and dry, doesn't it? Well, Mr. Wright? I can't agree on principle, Your Honor. It seems that some poor losers are unwilling to accept the truth, Your Honor. Oh, poor Phoenix, we love you. I shall proceed to crush what little hope they have remaining. If you can, then give them your worst, Miss Starr. Wait, are they talking about me? Alright, the witness's account. Somehow, I always knew a day like this would come. I was on my way to deliver a lunchbox to my boyfriend. when I sensed something. Perhaps it was my finely honed detective's intuition at work, or woman's intuition, one of the two intuitions. Holy crap! Her face is fucking terrifying! Through the wire fence, I saw the chief prosecutor standing next to the garnished car. The chief prosecutor was holding a knife in her right hand. Then she thrust the pointed tip of the knife into the Detective Goodman's chest. Bringing a lunchbox to your boyfriend. How touching. As you can see, there is no room for doubt. The key point of your testimony seems to be nothing other than the point of the knife which you saw being stabbed into Detective Goodman. So, how does it feel to be so utterly crushed? I'm still thinking about that. It's merely a flesh wound, Mr. Wright. 'Tis but a flesh wound. A flesh wound? Your entire arm is cut off! Very well, Mr. Wright. You may cross-examine the witness. Alright, let's pick this testimony apart like the mushrooms in my shrimp fried rice. I don't know. Somehow I always knew a day like this would come. I was on my way to deliver a lunchbox to my boyfriend. Hang on, let me just save in advance. Let me caution save while I still have a full bar of health. I was on my way to deliver a lunchbox to my boyfriend when I sensed something. Perhaps it was my final intuition. You sensed something. So you're saying you had a premonition of the murder? It felt like how you would say, oh yeah. Like the feeling when you get when you view a pumpkin chock full of seeds. I have no idea what that means. Speaking of detective's intuition, wasn't the victim, Mr. Bruce Goodman, also a detective? Yes, well, he was like a young cheese. A pale white cheese, not yet tangy with experience on the streets. A greenhorn. Then I must be hard, yellowed, and sharp to attack. Yeah, with an odor of an old cheese to match. Any case, there in the lot, I felt something stirring in the back of my mind. Through the wire fence, I saw the chief prosecutor standing next to a garnished car. By garnished car, you mean Mr. Edgeworth's car, yes. Mr. Edgeworth's? Incidentally, the knife with which the victim was stabbed with was also Mr. Edgeworth's, wasn't it? Indeed, it was. What an odd case this is. And the person you saw, you're sure it was the defendant? I saw her from no further than 30 feet away. I am certain it was her. She's telling the truth. We're doomed. Let's just do what we can. Even if we don't have any proof, we can always nitpick. We're dealing with Edgeworth here. I need something more substantial than that. Can you tell us what the suspect was doing when you saw her? The chief prosecutor was holding a knife in her right hand. No, I don't mean to... I'm not going to present anything, I just want to check. Death due to loss of blood, 1 knife wound, died within an hour. Let's see. Alright, so let's see. 36 male, cause of death, chest wound. Wound caused by 4.5-inch knife, a single stab wound was found. Alright, hand. Then she thrust pointing into chest. Tell the court why you didn't just try to stop this crime. Why you didn't try to stop this crime. Did you see her raise the knife and strike? No? The defense has a point. Just like the knife. Unfortunately, by the time I realized what was going on, it was already too late. Too late? Yes. The next moment, the chief prosecutor brought down the murder weapon. I see. It's only a flesh wound, Mr. Wright. We can make it. You said that before. Anything else? Scientifically speaking, Miss Stark's testimony is flawless. Sounds pretty fatal to me. What do we do? Is this it? And is my sister guilty? Alright, let's keep our heads. Don't smile like that. I always knew this day would come. Tell me more about this knife that the suspect was carrying. Well, I'd say the blade was about 4 inches long. Is that right, Mr. Edgeworth? It is your knife, after all. Yes, that's about right. Prosecutors are, by nature, well-versed in the location of a man's vital organs. I'm sure it was easier than boiling an egg for my egg salad surprise set. You can't testify as to her ability to kill an egg. I mean, a person. Perhaps the chicken salad set would have been a better metaphor. So the defendant was holding a knife. What then? Then she thrust the pointy end of the knife into the detective's chest. Hang on. Let me check. Chest bone. Damn it! I thought I could get her with that. Which was the pointy end of the knife into the detective's chest. Murder weapon usually... Traces of the victim's blood, no prints. Usually in Edgeworth's toolboxes. Alright, I'm gonna go on a limb and do this. I'm just gonna test it. Nope. Nope. Time to reload. Oh man. I was on my way to deliver a lunchbox to my boyfriend when I sensed something next to a garnished car. Holding a knife in her right hand. That still kind of strikes me as odd, because again, we have proof that the knife is the murder weapon, but no prints. So something of significance would have to go off that. Yeah, that still seems kind of fishy. About 4 inches long. 4.5, but yeah. Huh. Then she throws the pointy tip of the knife into it. Alright, let's just press her on everything. How did you know? I respect the prosecutor's basic adherence to the crime, yet their methods are ugly and twisted. Twisted methods will always lead to tragedy. The lunch lady's uninformed opinion is duly noted. Given that they are used to erasing inconvenient evidence at their whim, killing off a detective that knew too much is merely an extension of that. Miss Starr, do you have something personal against prosecutors? I felt that I had found my dream job when I became an investigator. And if I hadn't been laid off by those prosecutors over there, I'd still be one. Laid off? She was fired? To me, prosecutors are nothing more than worms. That said, I'm a pro, as you know. My testimony is unbiased and flawless. Very well. You may continue, Miss Starr. I was on my way to deliver a lunchbox to my boyfriend. Probably nothing. This boyfriend, he's the detective? Not that boyfriend, the security guard. How many boyfriends do you have? That boyfriend? You have several? Yes, this boyfriend, that boyfriend, the other boyfriend. Care to no. The yet another boyfriend position is still open for applicants. I'll stick with the lunches, thanks. Note to self, the judge has to think before replying. The security guard room is in the lot, in A block. It's up on the second level, so you can see everything from there. Basically this really, like, tiny place, like, right above the control panel thing. That would be the room to the security sign. So, yeah, just this room, where my little cursors go in circles. Initially, did you bring your lunchboxes by car? Since I'm a visitor now, I parked in Block B. So, she was in Block B when she witnessed the crime. When I sensed something, perhaps it was my family, we questioned that. Then she thrust the pointy tip of the knife into Detective Goodman's chest. apologize so much for yawning, guys. I'm just sort of... Lots of blood. I'm sorry for yawning so much, and last episode's my nose was itchy. I think it was the shirt I was wearing, like something wasn't right. But yeah, today I woke up at like earlier than my usual, 7 o'clock, and I just recorded because I was up. So let's see, this is a very short autopsy. Chest wound, wound was caused by a 4.5. Let's present this. Nope. Oh, what? Shoot, sorry. So basically, she just said, like, you're biased towards witnesses and stuff like that, or you're biased as a witness. Sorry, I was just sort of clicking through until something... I didn't pay attention. You might want to keep those silly opinions to yourself in the future, Ricky. Huh? Ricky? Unless you're willing to risk the consequences of doubting me. I'll fry you like a fritter, crisp you on the outside, chewy on the inside. Oh God, she looks to kill. That was inspiring. I believe I've heard that tagline elsewhere. You could cry plagiarism. I may be relegated to the lowest post of lunch lady, but my instincts are honed. Oh God. A photograph! You took this? The moment I witnessed the crime, my reflexes took over and snap, I took a picture. In fact, one of my lunchboxes is rigged with a camera. I suppose that's more exciting than just hanging it around your neck. Witness, why am I only seeing this photograph just now? You think I'd show it to you, a prosecutor? Think again. My boyfriend works in the photography division of criminal affairs. Well, this is most certainly the defendant. Oh crap. Oh God. That is unmistakably Lana Skye. I feel like we really are just kind of digging our own grave here. Like, why are we defending her again? So, what was the defendant doing at the time? The chief prosecutor was holding a knife in her right hand. Hang on. Let me check this photo out. But the photo clearly contradicts that, right? Oh! And you witnessed this? You saw Miss Skye stab the victim with the knife. I've already said yes. I swear it on my famous salmon swirl lunch. Ooh. I actually really want to try that. I'm sure that's a fine lunch. But, isn't that odd? Look at this photograph. This is the photograph you took the very moment of the crime, is it not? Then why is Miss Skye not holding the knife? Mr. Edgeworth, your thoughts? Objection. That had to be the weakest objection ever, Edgeworth. Yet it was still stronger than your ever-feeble mind, Mr. Wright. What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? This photograph was not taken the moment before the stabbing. This was taken the moment after the stabbing. And how can you tell that? Blood splatter? Huh? The dark crimson stains on the prosecutor's coat. I thought it was just like after, like, it was all on, like, the left side, and I thought maybe this was her right side, like, left and right. So I thought, like, oh, maybe she used the other hand or something. Like, I thought that was what I was thinking of. See the dark red crimson stains on the chief prosecutor's coat? But it's in black and white photograph! In the future, we may get color. Yes, it's hard to tell, but this could be blood. Well, Mr. Wright, I see no problem here. No problem except you. Mr. Wright, are you going to just sit there and take it? Take that kind of abuse? It's Edgeworth. You got a better idea. Objection? I really am not confident. Wait, that contradicts what the witness said in her testimony. Namely, that she took the picture the moment she saw... she witnessed the crime. Well, it seems I was slightly unclear. My apologies. That's it. If you run out of lunch, you can order seconds. Problem solved. If you don't like it, try ordering the jumbo-sized lunch from the get-go. Good advice. I'm not sure I understood it, but good advice. I don't have a problem. I don't have time to stop her. The prosecutor Sky was cold, calculating like a robot. That face will be in my nightmares tonight. She killed without pain or remorse. It was premeditated murder. Premeditated? How do you know? Look at the chief prosecutor's hands in the photograph. Well, those are gloves. Surgical gloves made of thin rubber, most likely. Why would she have those on? If it were not premeditated, she would not be wearing those gloves. What? These gloves do seem to tell a tale of premeditation. Premeditated murder, a serious offense. Witness, add this to your testimony. The murder was planned. The rubber gloves prove it. The only thing I have related to the rubber gloves is the knife, and I feel like if I present that, I'm just gonna screw myself. I'm still at a blue bar. Before I do anything. This is painful to even do. I gave my attorney's badge. I didn't mean to press my attorney's badge. Let's try this again. Witness, do you know what this is? Are you trying to test me? I sell lunchboxes for a living, you know. That's a knife. The knife. The knife that was in Mr. Edgeworth's trunk. Indeed, it is my knife. What's with this case? Bloody murder weapon. A red car. All belonging to the prosecutor there? The defendant is the chief prosecutor for the district, right? Mommy, are the prosecutors bad people? Not really. On a side note, no, prosecutors are not bad people. They just think that, well, they want to see it. What the hell? Prosecutors aren't bad people. Defense aren't bad people. They just think that they try to either get a guilty verdict or an innocent verdict. That's kind of just it. The defense has a request. We ask that the witness provide an accurate testimony. What's that, Rookie? In your testimony, you stated that Lana Sky planned this murder, and that's why she was wearing those special gloves. Seems like a natural conclusion to me. The gloves do indicate planning. However, why would she not also prepare the most important thing, the murder weapon? Oh. This knife just so happened to be in the trunk of that car. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to plan a murder, don't forget the weapon. My lunches. Order, order, order. Great, now the tide is turning in our favor. Great show, Mr. Wright. My sister is as good as free. Not yet, but... Right. I believe the next lunch you'll be eating is humble pie. Ooh, what flavor? What? I hope you weren't deluding yourself into thinking that the tide is turned. Not over such a trifling detail. But the shot's in the hole! But this shoots a hole in her whole premeditated theory. Bah! The prosecution could care less if it was premeditated or not. The only one who seems to care is that the lunch lady over there. The defendant, Lana Sky, murdered a detective with a knife. That is the only thing the prosecution need to prove, nothing else. Very good, Mr. Prosecutor. I suppose you think you're clever now. But you know as well as I do that she planned on killing him. It was planned. If it wasn't, why would she have been wearing... I believe I'd like to hear your testimony again. Witness, please tell us only what you saw, not what you thought. How dare you? My powers of deduction are not to be underestimated. Really now. Alright, Angel's deduction. Lana Sky intended to murder Detective Goodman. That's why she called the victim all the way to the prosecutor's office. I'm sure the chief prosecutor had a grudge against the victim. Nothing else could drive that human machine to plunge the knife in again and again. I immediately found a hole. Found a hole. The victim was summoned from the police department to the prosecutor's office. It does sound a lot like premeditation, does it not? So, if I ordered a pizza, does that mean I'm planning to kill the delivery boy? I mean, it depends. If he gets there in 30 minutes or less, it's free murder. It's free real estate murder. In any case, the defense may now cross-examine the witness. Alright, Angel's deduction. This guy intended to murder Detective Goodman. That's why she called the victim all the way to the prosecutor's office. I'm just gonna press this because... You have no proof that Miss Sky called him there. You have no proof that she didn't. Mr. Edgeworth, thoughts? There's no record of a call made on the defendant Miss Alana Sky's phone. She might have written him a letter. Come on, you could have tried public phone first at least. Payphones? In any case, the victim came to the prosecutor's office where he was murdered. I'm sure he had a reason to be there. Witness, why do you think it was the suspect who summoned the victim that day? I'm sure the chief prosecutor had a grudge against the victim. What kind of grudge? Well, I wouldn't know that. Of course you don't. That's because she didn't have a grudge. Rookie? I have a lunchbox here. Now, what's inside? How am I supposed to know? See, we agree there's a lunchbox here, but we don't know what's inside. A person's life is like a lunchbox with pretzels. Don't you agree? Why pretzels? I get it. That's why my lunch was so salty. The judge isn't very good with metaphors. The suspect had a grudge against Detective Goodman. Will you tell us your basis for this thinking? It's simple. Nothing else could drive that... Yeah, about that. Objections! About that. You say she stabbed him again and again? But you couldn't have witnessed that. Are you testing me? Then I'll test you. With my moss surprise. Is that just straight up moss? Do people just eat moss? I mean, I know vegans and stuff, but moss? I'm afraid the moss is growing under our feet as we wait, Miss Starr. What do you mean? I shouldn't have to explain this, but take a look. The autopsy report states that death was due to loss of blood from one stab wound. Aha! You're right! Good show, Mr. Edgeworth. What a hunk, he's my hero, really. What about my objection? No one noticed? Well, witness? You get the crime scene set, right? Oh, thanks. I always believed that no one could ever mistake ketchup for blood. But now I realize that such mistakes are possible. So, you're saying you mistook something for blood? When she lifted her knife, I thought I saw blood on her breast. Splattered from her victim. That's why I thought she must have stabbed him at least twice. Then tell us what you saw that you thought was blood. Testify. A red muffler looked like blood to me. That's how ghastly the scene was. Hang on. Her red muffler looked like blood to me. That's how ghastly the whole scene was. That makes no sense. Alright, hang on. Date and time of death, February 21st, between 4 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. Cause of death, blood just from the wound. Assessment, wound was caused by fluid. A single stab wound was found. Okay. Victim's memo found in the trunk. Press it. I can't find anything. Her red muffler? Yes, like a scarf. The chief prosecutor always wears one around her neck, so she can easily hang at a moment's notice, I suppose. She's right. This guy was wearing a red scarf, wasn't she? But wait, isn't it odd that you mistook that for splattered blood? Well, people often mistake my beard for a bib. A judge with a bib. That's why this place feels much like kindergarten sometimes. Actually, I do think I saw some traces of blood on her chest. Wait a minute. I just noticed she's not wearing her scarf here, so... However, the autopsy report is clear on this matter. There is only one knife wound. Sorry, I thought I just heard something for a second. Apparently Miss Starr isn't entirely sure of her own testimony. Mr. Wright! This is our chance! Chance for what, I wonder? Miss Starr has turned out to be short-tempered as she looked when we met her. Challenging her abilities as a detective really set her off. The short wick burns out the fastest. It's a scientific fact. I wonder, wouldn't it depend on the size of the candle? I mean, add more wax and an even really short wick and it'll burn longer. Obviously, more scientific testing is required. Oh, wait, what? That was short. Alright, so 1, 2... Her red muffler looked like blood to me. Okay, let's go back to the photograph. She's not wearing one! She's not wearing it!
Objection!
Miss Starr, I demand an explanation.
Objection!
The witness is clearly not suited for detective work. What? The suspect was not wearing a scarf or a muffler of any kind when she stabbed the victim. You've proven it yourself with this photograph. Huh? But that can't be. Only a professional lunch lady could be so utterly clueless. Congratulations, perhaps you finally found your true calling in life. Harsh words, but good. In the end, Mr. Edgeworth prevails. Who the hell's side are you on, Emma? What was my objection? Chopped liver? But it was there. Her scarf. No, not there, but something red, really. Well now, where were we? The witness has given us an entertaining interlude, but back to business. What? Very well, witness. Continue your testimony. You saw the crime and apprehended the suspect. Tell us about that. Very well. I do remember some things, accurately at least. Ultimately, we couldn't shake the most important part of her testimony. The most important part? The part where your sister stabs the victim. This next testimony might just be the moment of truth. Ooh. Apprehending the suspect. After the murder, the suspect attempted to run behind the partition off to her side. I quickly caught her, explained her rights to her, and arrested her on the spot. Ah yes, when I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. That's what had me confused in my earlier testimony. The chief prosecutor made to escape, but against Angel Starr, resistance is futile. Still kind of vague. You're quite determined about the scarf, aren't you? I strike that snake and bite like a cobra. I strike like a snake and bite like a cobra. They're both snakes. That's me, Angel Starr. That wasn't a very good metaphor. First of all, a cobra is a kind of snake. Don't bother me with details unless you want to get bitten. No thanks. Note to self, Mr. Wright is weak against poisonous snake bites. Everybody is. The chief prosecutor tried to resist, but her efforts were in vain. She knocked my hands aside, kicked over an oil drum. An oil drum? Hard to imagine. Oh, she's beautiful, but deadly. A predator, this one. A leopard woman. Rawr. Very well, Mr. Wright. Your cross-examination, if you will. Apprehending the suspect. Alright, now this was going to get a little tougher. After the murder, the suspect attempted to run behind the partition off to her side. So where is this partition on the floor plans? I'm sure she means this wall right here, so kind of like behind the car. That's right. There was a wall there, about 6 feet high. She was obviously trying to hide herself. Quite a natural thing for a criminal to do. And what did she do then? I quickly caught her and explained her rights to her, and arrested her on the spot. You say quickly, were you close to the suspect? As I just said, I was only 30 feet away from her the whole time, but 30 feet is still pretty far, right? Like a foot? Maybe I should press further details. Press her. I like to see this on the floor plans just to be safe. The Lunchland car was in Lot B in the visitors area. So you witnessed the murder from here? That would make it about 30 feet from the car, yes? Is that correct, Miss Starr? Yes, that's right. But there's a chain link fence in front of you. I went over it, of course. Amazing! The Coffee Queen Lunch Lady athlete, indeed. It would have taken her a little time to climb over the fence. So she couldn't have gotten to my sister that fast. Yeah, that fence was about 9 feet high, too. How did Miss Sky not get away? When I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. You mentioned the muffler. What exactly did she say? I remember exactly. I would have told you in my testimony. Shaky. Anyway, all I heard her say was the word muffler. Just that one word? So, what you heard wasn't the suspect talking to you, but to someone else? Yes, the chief prosecutor was talking on her phone. Her phone? She can't mean ask further. By phone, do you mean this cell phone discovered at the crime scene? Yes, ultimately. Ultimately? My memory. It's like salmon heading upstream, you see. No, the court doesn't see, Miss Starr. The chief prosecutor first attempted to use the phone hanging on the wall. On the wall? That's right. Near the car, there was an emergency phone on the wall. Apparently it was out of order, and so she used her cell phone. Indeed, the emergency phone was out of order that day. Good witnessing, witness. Good witnessing? Whatever happened to good testifying? You should, of course, add this to your testimony. The things I do to please this rookie defense attorney. Alright, but still. I saw it all, how she tried the phone on the wall, but had to use her phone instead. Do you think you could restate your testimony to the court? Aha! I was going to ask the same thing. I'll only say this one time, so listen close, rookies. The prosecutor chief stabbed the victim and ran behind the partition. Then she picked up the emergency phone on the wall, but it was out of order. So she pulled out her own cell phone out of her pocket. And during that time, you climbed over the chain link fence. Then, when I boldly grabbed her arm, the chief prosecutor hung up her phone. And you saw her doing this. What is it, Mr. Wright? The chief prosecutor made an escape, but against Angel Star, resistance is futile. Hang on. I'm not gonna press anything or present anything, I'm just gonna... She made the chief prosecutor made escape against Angel Star, resistance is futile. Just in case. She made to escape. Can you be more specific? She brushed aside my hand and ran. It was a terrible sight to see, like a dollop of lard on a pate of foie gras. Exactly. She kicked over an oil drum at me. An oil drum? There was an oil drum laying on its side at the scene of the crime. But it's strange. What's that? If she wanted to escape, why didn't she run the other way? The parking lot entrance! That's right! It doesn't make any sense that she would run from behind the partition to the oil drums. Excellent! More mysteries. I wish we could solve a few before finding more, though. So Miss Guy tried to run. I'm sorry my sister is so suspicious, Mr. Wright. Try saying that 3 times fast. Not as sorry as I am. But she didn't do it. You have to believe me. After the murder, the suspect attempted to run behind a partition off to her side. I quickly caught her and explained her rights and... Oh, shoot. Sorry. And arrested her on the spot. She mentioned the muffler. Can I check this? I can only check for friggin...
Objection!
Nope. Nope. It took me, and I kid you not, I think an hour to do this. I backtracked until a certain point. I got stuck at this point. I actually did have to go back and see, like, okay, I tried all the evidence. I did pick the right one, but I had to do it in a certain sequence that I did not realize. Oh man, this one's gonna get me for sure. Miss Starr, I have to conclude that you have a personal grudge against Miss Lana Skye.
Objection!
The witness is a former detective. Her testimony is unarmored by personal bias. Well, who would have thought you would be my knight in shining armor, prosecutor? You, together with the chief prosecutor, kicked me out 2 years ago. Well, Miss Starr, this is a fatal contradiction with your testimony. How do you explain this? I don't know what you're talking about. Mess with me, and I'll make you cough it all up. Let's look at the floor plans. You said you witnessed the crime from this point. However, if that's true, you couldn't possibly have seen Miss Skye making the phone call. I believe you see what I believe you see what I'm getting at. That emergency phone was on the back side of this partition. If indeed you were in Block B, you couldn't have seen it. Order, order! What is the meaning of this? It's simple, Your Honor. She's not coughing up lush, she's coughing up lies. That's quite a claim, Mr. Wright. Perhaps you will allow me a question. Tell us exactly what lie this witness has told the court. His counter action begins. I can't afford to get this wrong. The witness lied about... I'm not going back to this crapfest again. Alright. The witness... The order of events? Oh, this is a big one. What she saw. Alright, it's not that. Where she saw it. This guy tried to use the emergency phone, but it was out of order. What is significant about this fact? Nothing. Therefore, it would be pointless for Miss Starr to lie about it. Pointless to lie? I see. But say the witness actually did see Miss Sky using the emergency phone. It would mean Miss Starr witnessed the crime from a different location. A different location? Now, that's a pointless lie if I ever heard one. Before you call my lie pointless, at least let me tell it. Let me ask a question to our clever wordsmith, Mr. Wright. Just where was the witness when she saw the crime? All testimony we've heard now leads the security room. Hey! This is the only place where she could have been. The security guard room? Indeed, the security room in the underground parking lot is well positioned. It's built on the second floor. You can see the entire lot. She would have been able to see the emergency phone from there. But why there? Why are there so many other places where she could have seen the phone? Not in this case, Your Honor. The witness not being part of the prosecutor's office couldn't take park in Block A. The only place where she could have been at the scene of the crime is the back of the partition here. I remember in your testimony you said you brought lunch to your boyfriend in the security guard room, yes? Well, Miss Starr, how many years have I been getting the better of men? To think that the tables could be turned. Today a man has the better of Angel Starr. Order, order! Witness, what have you done? You used to be a detective. You should know better. I'm not turning back. The guilty will be punished. And I'll do what I must just to make sure justice prevails. Guilty? She talking about Miss Sky? Mr. Wright, doesn't this strike you as odd? Why did Miss Starr lie? It doesn't make sense. Huh? She could have just said she saw the crime from the security guard station. It would change everything. Exactly. This photograph tells all. It was the defendant who stabbed the victim. That truth still stands.
Objection!
It still stands? I disagree, Mr. Edward. What? If a witness is found to be lying, they're guilty of perjury. She knows this. She wouldn't risk that without a good reason. So tell us what her reason was, Mr. Wright. Me. Who else? Mr. Wright, let's review what we know. Miss Starr witnessed the crime from the security guard station, but she lied and said she saw it from Block B, so that we know can rule that out. It must make a vital difference, but what? What could this change? Angle of the view of the crime, the distance of the crime, the difference in lighting. Lighting, I doubt, it's not lighting. So I would say it is the distance, or the angle of the view. Why, the angle at which she saw the crime occur would change. The angle? What do you mean? The security guard station is on the second floor, and, she would have had to sort some sort of 3D view. And this is important, why? Well, I tried. The distance of the crime. It changes the distance between her and the scene of the crime.
Objection!
My condolences, Mr. Wright, but one look at the floor plans and it's quite clear. The distance between the scene of the crime and the guard station is 30 feet. I don't see how that would change what she could see.
Objection!
What she saw is not in question here. What matters is the time it would take for her to reach the scene of the crime. Miss Starr, you witnessed the crime from the security guard station. Now, how long did it take you to go from there to the scene of the crime where you arrested Miss Sky? Well, witness, you. Yes? You ordered the squid wheels, right? The quality of my lunches has gone from low to inedible. I was bringing my PB&J lunch with fresh boysenberry jam to my boyfriend. Ooh, boysenberry for the boyfriend. He wasn't in the station, so I waited. I witnessed the crime from the glass wall of the station. Oh my god, now it extends. And before I knew what I was doing, I found myself running towards the scene, but the door was locked. I couldn't open it. Which makes sense. The door was locked. We couldn't open it. Oh, hell no. Are you freaking kidding me? That's why I had to go through the visitor store in parking lot B. That is such BS. That cannot. The time, she literally could have left during that time. That's quite a detour. But why? It probably took me at least 5 minutes to get to the scene of the crime. 5 minutes? This changes things considerably. But it was that woman over there in the defendant's chair who stabbed him. I know it. I have photographic evidence. I swear it. I swear it on my finest plastic spork. And you all know how sporks are valued. You have a point, and the spork is the wonderful invention. Would you like another caviar lunch? Absolutely! Uh-oh. Mr. Wright, you have to do something! Do I have any evidence to stop this? Raise an objection!
Objection!
5 minutes between the witness... 5 minutes between witnessing the murder and the arrest? Think about it! You could make a pasta in that amount of time! If you like it al dente. I've got lunch boxes that tie pasta into knots, Ricky. A 5-minute blank. Isn't that strange? Strange. If you were a criminal, what would you do with that 5 minutes, Your Honor? Oh, I guess I'd flee the scene. Don't get me wrong with the wrong idea. I didn't kill anyone. No, you're fine. But you have the instinct of the killer. You would have run, but this time it was different. Miss Skye dwelled at the scene of the crime. She even had her picture taken. No true criminal would act this way. It's inconceivable. Yeah! Well then, it seems we've come to the end of this testimony. The witness has a grudge against the defendant and a blank in her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth is the next witness all ready to go. Unfortunately, I appear to have overestimated this witness on account of her professional history. I did it! You screwed that can shut, Mr. Wright. That was too close. I'm afraid that the cough-up queen has been dethroned. And with that, court is adjourned. Mr. Edgeworth, you are the squid wheels, right? Why do you have squid wheels? That's the one she tried to foist onto me. I prefer not to take the defense's terms leftovers. Anything else to say? I might be able to save you. I have decisive evidence. What was that? Is this another one for trick lunchboxes? My apologies, but we have no further questions to ask of you, Miss Starr. Ah. Oh. Is this your jumbo lunchbox? Woohoo! A triple-decker. Out of defense of the court, I'll allow one more testimony. Let's hear about this decisive evidence. Like the Lunchland motto says, you won't be disappointed. What's she going to pull out for lunchbox this time? Decisive evidence. I should have mentioned those 5 minutes when I wasn't looking at the scene of the crime. And now, to the matter of the victim's shoe. Did I not bring this up? No, you didn't! 2 types of blood were found on this shoe. How do you know it's 2 types? One was the victim's, of course, and the other blood matched the defendant, Miss Lana Skye. This shoe proves it. It's flawless, decisive evidence. What? There was blood found on that shoe? Try Lunchland for all your lunch and decisive evidence needs. Witness, what's the meaning of this? Why is this the first time I've heard of this evidence? Simple. As I've already said, I don't trust you with evidence, Mr. Edgeworth. That's why I took the liberty of investigating this myself. And you had blood tests performed? Didn't I mention? I have 3 boyfriends in forensics. No, you didn't! In any case, Your Honor, I can't accept this as evidence. What? You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule number 1, no evidence shall be shown without approval from the police department. In other words, this shoe is illegal evidence, at least for the time being. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. Edgeworth sure is celebrating. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. Don't forget, I used to be a detective. As I mentioned previously, this shoe has already been tested by a member of the forensics department. As you can see, it was approved by the police department as of today. Even the general public can produce official evidence, Mr. Edgeworth. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. Edgeworth sure is looking pretty sullen. You can at least study some evidence law, really. The prosecution's complaints none the withstanding. It appears that this evidence satisfies the first rule of evidence law. However, it seems you have yet another count against you, witness. Anything to ensure that the guilty are properly judged. Oh no. Oh no. No! I have to stop. I need to stop. Guys, this episode has gone on way longer than I intended. It's noon. I need to eat lunch. All this lunch talk is making me hungry. But yeah, so next episode we'll hopefully get to the end of this crazy witness testimony trial thing and hopefully be done with it and move on and find more evidence, which will probably take me more time to freaking find everything. But yeah, if you like this, leave a like. There are 2 videos on screen below. Click my face to subscribe to the channel, share with a friend. I'm Static Stardust, and I will see you